This is a treat. This is a guy who's been making plays for a long time in the league now, and you look up, and what year is this for you, Harrison?
13.
Golly, dude. Do you feel
Incredible.
like a super vet?
Sometimes, yes, and then sometimes, like, I forget I've been here this long.
Yeah.
So it's just day by day.
Do you think, you've seen things change? We were just talking about it. You're not like old CBA where you had 2 days and stuff, but things are different now. Do you think rookies in the secondary have an easier or harder time transitioning as you work with these young guys?
I don't know. I don't know if it's easier or harder. It's just different. Yeah. Like the game itself, like the way offenses play is different. Like in the scheme that we run, I like to think it's easier, but I'm spoiled because I have years of experience and failures and successes. So I think it's just different.
Yeah.
And then like the external stuff of everything like is so different. I didn't even have a Twitter when I came in the league. The only reason I made one is because somebody made a fake one. So I was like, I'll just make a real one.
Yeah.
So that tends to dominate things a little more and like can get into guys' heads. I'm like, just don't look at that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, so it's it's kind of up to every individual.
Do you like your young guys? Your rookies?
Yeah, we got some good rookies. Not a ton. We unfortunately lost Kyrie Jackson in the offseason.
Yeah.
He was kind of just one of those guys you always smile when you see him and stuff like that. So I was looking forward to getting to know him more.
There's no blueprint for that.
No.
How do you guys handle that? How have you?
Yeah, it's obviously just with him not being here that long, it's kind of like you don't know how to respond almost. Obviously it's very tragic, and then some of the younger guys like played with him in college and were very close to him, so it's obviously gonna affect them a certain way. But just appreciating the time that we have. It's easy to lose sight of that, obviously. So it kind of puts everything back in perspective.
Is this team, you've seen a lot of iterations of this Vikings team. You played on some great defenses, man. Is the personality of this team that much different than a Zimmer-led group, or like what's the difference now and just the way things are? Not saying one's better or one's worse, but what's the programmatic difference?
I think starting with KO, just the type of coach he is, the type of leader he is. It's not like looser, like we're still like meetings on time, everything's tight, but just kind of the personality of KO. And I think being an offensive head coach can be different. I don't know, but with KO, we're competing, but it's good work and we're taking care of each other. It's not quite as like adversarial at times.
That's the defensive mindset.
Yeah, which like I'm not knocking that either
because you got it.
Yeah,
but the coach when he's got
too. Yeah, you just kind of got to fit in.
Yeah.
You got to know one thing that playing for multiple head coaches and multiple coordinators, like you just got to know what that guy's looking for and try to fit into that while not being fake or somebody you're not. But like knowing what we're looking for and then going from there. And then like having Flo come in has been awesome because he's got were you with him
I was
in New England? Yeah. So he's obviously got a ton of success in his past.
A ton of calls.
He's got calls
during the damn. I used to yell at Hightower, "Motherfucker, where's the call?" He's like, "I just gave you all 3 of them."
Yeah.
Like,
and then there's a couple we didn't even say, but they're in there somewhere. So that's like fun, and that schematic side is a lot of fun to me, but also like just the mindset that Flo brings. He's very like, he's not like a rah guy, but he's an intense guy without having to do that, which is like, I think a kind of a sweet spot that's hard to find.
He just came in. He looks jacked.
He's jacked.
What's he doing with Hengst?
I guess he's in there
just benching.
Yeah.
His pecs look incredible.
Just benching.
And on game day, he's got the hat.
Yeah.
The outfit, and he's just all business. So I like being around that for sure.
Talking about Flo's defense a little bit, obviously, like you played for a long time under Zimmer, a lot of like mugged A-gap blitzes, stuff like that, a lot of exotic blitzes, a lot of calls with B-Flo. Without giving anything away, is there something schematically that you're really looking forward to doing this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's all of it together. Like we obviously have some, you can call it exotic, you can call it like borderline unsound. You can call
Right.
it.
That's how people react.
Yeah.
Is that because it's just the coverages you're calling behind the fronts? Is that
Yeah,
that's what
they,
everybody
like once you do it, like when Flo first got here last year, we were talking about it, and I was getting to know him, and I'm like, this is kind of wild.
This
Like,
is
what- and but once you do it and you're in it, like a lot of it is not a lot of it, all of it is very logical and makes
Right.
sense, and it's kind of like liberating in a sense because it's not we're not going over what shoulder do I take this on with, and what, if they do this, if we do that, like what, like we don't have to deal with some of that stuff because of the way that we play, and that that can create other issues, but we kind of know what they are, and just getting on the field and doing it gives you the confidence to believe in it.
Right.
Yeah.
What can you do with Josh Metellus that you couldn't do without him?
Yeah, he's like, he can play any role on the defense. Like physically he can cover man-to-man really well. He can blitz well, he tackles well. He can play the deep half, the deep middle, and he gets involved in the games up front with the linemen. So his physical attributes allow him to do that, but it's really his mental side that, like, you could tell him to switch something that we didn't even go over, and it's easy. Like, so he's a guy that I don't think there's a lot of them out there like him.
Yeah.
So he kind of opens up a lot of things.
You had, in my opinion, last year, and I love the guys you brought in, they got big shoes to fill because Hunter, to me, is probably the most underappreciated rusher in the league.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
He's a freak show, and I don't think people know it because he plays up here, and you know this from playing up here a long time. You're not going to be on TV in the big market game every week. I don't think people understood how good he was here, and I also don't think they understood how freakish. What was the craziest thing you ever saw him physically do, or the play that stands out?
Honestly, just looking at him is insane.
It's crazy. Did you hear Lane describe having to line up across?
Yeah, he was built in a lab. But he does this one move where he does like a jump pull through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That I
Don't
love.
try this at home.
Yeah, and it's not one you teach
can't do that when
anybody.
you look like this, Chris.
Yeah.
He's so long, and he sets you up with everything else throughout the game, and then he hits that skip step, jump, grab, pull, and it's over.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? That wasn't even like a real thing.
Yeah.
What was that? But that one's not rare. It happens every game, but I always like to see that one.
What's Aaron Jones add? Because I feel like that was a huge addition. If he can hang on physically, he's getting up there in years, but he was very productive last year. Why is he so good out of the backfield, and what does he add to you guys?
Yeah, he's the ability to catch the ball and be a threat, like a legitimate threat in the pass game, not always just coming and running a choice route or whatever. But he's very multiple, and he's so smooth.
Yeah.
He just glides, and obviously playing against him in Green Bay for a lot of years, like he just adds another threat besides running the ball, which he does very well. But you got to take account of him, especially in the red zone, in the pass game and stuff like that. And he's still moving around great. He's just got that smoothness to him. That's not like that type of style. I think ages well.
What's your favorite memory over the last couple of years? And I'm talking about like single game, because you guys have had so many crazy finishes.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always interesting watching you guys play.
Yeah.
And, whether it's the comeback against the Colts or the 4th and 17, like Dobbs, what's been your favorite memory as a vet who's seen it all, sitting through it on the sidelines?
That year, 22 was filled with crazy games. The one here at Indy or versus Indy is the greatest comeback in NFL history. And then I think it was before that we played Buffalo.
That was crazy.
And that one was probably a crazier game, just like the way it all went down. Like the 4th and 18 with Jets,
The muff on the goal line
was nuts. And then the fumble QB sneak on the goal line, like, and then we have a chance to put it away. We don't, and then it continues on. Pat P gets a pick in the red zone. That one was wild, but just for the scenario, I think the Minneapolis Miracle will probably always be up there for me.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, we got smacked by y'all the next week.
Well, let me tell you something about that game. The first 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Oh, we were
because
like,
y'all hit that
because
play
Rudy
action,
scored,
and-
right?
It was like,
Yeah.
I think we scored on the first drive, and
And the
then
first
we
drive
went
was like, fuck.
3 and out or 4 and out. And we were like, shut out.
We didn't know what was going to – I don't know what y'all thought coming into that game, but we didn't know who was going to win. It wasn't like we had a lean. It was a mystery for us.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
like, who knows?
I thought we were gonna win. Pretty
Like roll.
roll. I thought we would roll.
Well, one thing I'll never forget.
What happened? What was it? It was just the crowd or what?
Man, I don't know. I've gone back and watched that game, and like, there's a lot of big plays y'all hit that
Perfect. They just hit perfect.
They were perfect, and I'm not trying to make excuses. Y'all just smacked us. Y'all out physical us.
We're a couple football players
It's
here. It
just
could have gone
how it
either
is
way.
Sometimes, I think that game made me realize the realness of home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm not like I don't know what would have happened if we'd have played here, but
It would have been
you
tough.
you could feel the juice, like, for sure. It
Yeah.
was a real thing.
The
Well,
Philly
you
fans
guys
were
got
not
it.
happy about the skull chant in front of
Skull.
the Rocky statue.
But you got – hey, there's a funny moment you should probably ask.
we got into it on PAT. Me and you. I don't know if you remember this. It
Probably
was
towards the end.
towards the end of the game. It was so funny,
I got a
man.
running start.
Yeah. You fucked up Selleck. Yes, bro. No, it was great. I was laughing about it.
I think it's great.
We pulled it up because Brent Suggs is a longtime tight end for the Birds.
Yep.
I was the end on field goal, and he's the wing. And I'd always go to the block side, and I was like, oh, okay, they're not coming this side of the cells. He's like, we're good. But he would talk mad shit during PAT.
Yeah.
Probably
like,
pissed him off.
it pissed me off because I'm getting fucked up every play as the end on field goal, and Selleck's over there's the wing just doing this, talking
Yeah.
shit. So I'm like, Selleck, we're good. Like, we're good. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you come flying out from like 10 yards deep and just fucking smack Selleck. So I like went over there, and then me and you were John, and then Anthony Barr comes in and absolutely just tea kettles Selleck right on his fucking ass. And we were all scrapping. I was like, I'm about to get fined for this, dude, in this playoff
Yeah,
game.
that was
It was-
just, game was over, and I was like,
That's so funny, though.
So
These guys
funny,
did
bro.
something.
I wanted to ask you about that. I didn't know if it was going to come
You
up.
know, like, we're all cool.
Dude,
but
whatever,
it was
dude.
just
That shit was hilarious. Selleck got smacked. I was like, finally someone comes and fucks Selleck up after he's been talking shit all year against
yeah,
these
it's kind
three
of funny
people.
when we had a guy, one of my best friends, cut him on a BIM block in
Yeah.
joint practice. You know, where he comes across
Oh.
the formation, and my homeboy cut him.
in practice?
yeah,
That's nice.
in a
That's
joint
nice.
practice.
He's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking kill that guy. So here's the question I want to ask you, because I don't think it's people pay enough attention to this. You're like quarterback of a defense, right? So new quarterback comes in, Darnold or JJ. How much do you take it upon yourself to work with those guys, and talk them through? I mean, Darnold, I think he's got a chance to turn his career around in a big way, especially here. But he hadn't seen what you've seen, and like you can really affect his thought process in a positive way. Do you guys talk?
Yeah. After the first couple of practices, I talked about those guys. Nothing like super high level, but just, what were you doing here? What are you thinking? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to make you think it's a different coverage
Yeah.
or whatever. And then I'm like, sometimes I'll ask them like, why didn't you make that throw? Because that's like the one that stresses us there. And I'm like, well, it didn't look a certain way or whatever. Like sometimes it's good to just try defenders. Like you think you're in a good spot and they try you anyways. You got to keep guys honest.
Especially in camp.
Yeah, especially early.
Does his mobility add some? Have you noticed that he can run a little bit better than people realize?
Yeah, more than I realized, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's sneaky athletic for sure.
Yeah.
JJ was
He looked great.
pretty obviously athletic.
He looked great.
Yeah.
I'm
he
so
was doing
bummed
great.
for him, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll come back stronger.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just part of the game. Sometimes you forget about,
No
especially with young
question.
guys. But Sam's mobility, especially in this offense, that just adds that one more component for the defense, that like you got everybody covered on 3rd and 5, and he gets out of the pocket, extends the drive. It just pisses defenders off, and that stuff adds up.
do you find yourself pulling for Cooper DeJean?
Great White Hope.
100%.
100%.
The funny thing is my coach Durante called me in last year so he went to Iowa,
Yeah.
and there was a kid in last draft that's on the Broncos, Riley Moss.
Yep.
He's another one. And he pulled me up and he's like, check this corner out. Like we like him, whatever. We're just watching tape. And he's like, he pulls the tape up, and I knew we were looking at a white dude. And I was like, everyone's white. Like which
in Iowa.
Yeah, it was Iowa. I was like, everyone is white on the field. So, and they both ended up being like first, second.
Oh, it's crazy.
Moss went second or third round, and
That's
I think
so funny.
Dejan went second round.
Did he?
First,
Yeah.
in the first
So they were
round.
doing
And he
I think
might
for
play
sure.
corner. That's
Might play
crazy.
corner.
I'd like to see it.
Hey,
In
he
5 or
walked-
6 years though. Yeah,
he
Harrison Smith walks.
I don't want to say he walked. He was sprinting so that they could also sprint.
to.
You know what I mean?
Safety is a little.
A little
It's
easier.
not quite
yeah.
corner, but it's good to see a little.
All right,
wave coming
last
through.
one, because we like to give props to somebody on the end of every interview. We asked Harrison about who was the toughest interior offensive lineman. Who over your career have you respected the most the way they go over the middle?
Man, there's a few. Julio's an obvious answer. I mean, he was something else. I'd say like guys that people don't quite. Well,
Yeah.
I played with Percy, and he was another one.
Percy was a dog.
For sure. Pierre Garçon,
Yes, he was a dog.
dog.
Yeah,
Dog. Muhammad Sanu as well.
He was a dog.
dog.
It's just strictly
Yeah.
dogs, bro.
And,
just
and like
naming
those
dogs.
two are guys
Percy
you know,
Harvin, dog.
your fans
Yeah.
probably
dog.
don't know about
Yeah.
quite as much, but like every time we played Garçon and Sanu,
Sanu is tough. He could
you
block.
better bring your hat when you
Yeah.
know them because like they're looking for contact.
Yeah.
And you got to appreciate that with receivers especially.
Well, I know they say the same about him. And
Yeah,
just want to bring this name up.
beast on
Sendejo.
PhD, too.
Ooh.
Sendejo, yeah,
He was the real,
Yeah.
the real guy you had
Yeah.
to worry about.
Sendejo
yeah.
will fucking take your head off,
Yeah.
bro.
And he wouldn't talk any trash.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a big trash talker, but I'll get into it. Whatever.
Oh, I know.
He wouldn't say
He's not
a
going to tell you
word.
before he drills you in the side.
He'd knock everybody out, himself
Yeah.
included.
I remember
Well,
because
same-
he signed
same
in
thing with
Philly,
him.
and
Same
Kelsey
thing
was
with
like, "Dude, you know this guy? Like, he's a psycho."
Same with him, though. You're a little psycho, too, and I mean that in a good
Yeah.
way. And,
I got one more
We
question.
got to let
for
him go.
Harrison. I got
Ask
one more
it
real
fast.
quick.
Ask
I'm a
it in
Minnesota
2
guy. I grew up
Fs,
in
man.
Minnetonka,
Fuck.
right? I love Minnesota. I've been telling Chris all about it.
Too slow.
What is it that you love about Minnesota that's keeping you here
Really?
for 13 years? Coming back for one more.
Softball. I thought this was good.
Great, bro. I'm just trying to gas up the great state of Minnesota for all our viewers at home,
The
baby.
lakes, man.
It is the lakes. Like it's kind of
Come on, I gotta ask him.
got everything that anybody would want.
Mild
If
winters.
it had mountains, it would be crazy.
That's what Chris was
It would
saying
be
too.
nuts if it had.
Yeah,
mountains.
I need some hills.
But it's a pretty place. People are cool.
Call it Eden Prairie, bro.
We used to
Minnetonka.
practice out in Eden Prairie.
Yeah, that's what-
and I've kind of
My boy Bradford was out here. Sammy B.
Sammy,
Yeah.
he was a
My
good
boy.
one, man. He was special.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Harrison, appreciate the time, dude. Good luck
Thank you.
this year. Hope we get you back on after a win or something.
Sounds good. Thank
Cheers,
you.
brother.